live. Yay.
Yay, exactly. So, welcome to Nourish to Flourish, our Nourish panel for every week for the UK time zone, which, is also a great time for the US. And even actually, I do believe for Australia, New Zealand. We
And
were talking
everyone
about
is
time
turned
zones.
upside down with all the time zone changes today. So
Yeah, I am struggling yesterday and today with my schedule and going, okay, I'm just going to miss whatever I miss and I will show up for whatever I showed up for. And
catch up when I figure it out.
yeah. But anyway, thank you, Sammy D. Unfortunately, because of the time zone change, Susan is not able to make it because she has a double booking.
We're all a flux.
Yes, and Nina, unfortunately, is not well this afternoon, so she's not going to make it. But today, we have a fun topic, which I've been really looking forward to. We're doing Moving Through March about movement. And today's topic is wisdom is knowledge plus action.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if we're talking diet, it doesn't matter if we're talking habit stacking, and you are a pro on habit stacking.
I try to be.
But knowledge is only as good as what we're doing with it.
That's true. I mean, the first thing that springs to mind is people that stay in school for, until their 30s. Learning stuff and learning stuff and learning stuff, but never actually applying it. So they might have the brains of a rocket scientist, but unless you apply it to the world and people around you, then it doesn't really mean an awful lot. So
And I would say that, for me, I went through law school, you finish it, and then you get to your first job and you suddenly discover that you know nothing.
Yes.
Because you've got all this theoretical knowledge and you get into the law office and the first thing they say is, you've got to meet with a client. You're like, I didn't learn how to do client meetings.
Yes. And I remember, when I started out on my IT career, I'd gone through all the training and qualifications and everything else. And then all of a sudden, I'm sitting in a meeting room in a massive corporation, like a big cell phone corporation. And there's a bunch of code on the screen. And they're like, well, and I'm like, what? Well, what's your opinion? Well, looks very pretty.
Exactly. So, what's it supposed to do?
So I think the wisdom part comes from being able to apply what you know to a real and practicing it so that it becomes part of your worth.
I'm just sharing right now, sorry, into the group because I forgot to do that as we started. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So all done. So yes, I mean, with anything in life, and we're obviously in March, we're talking about movement because we're saying, I mean, we've talked about exercise and our limiting beliefs, but we're talking about getting out and moving. We all know that you're supposed to get up from your desk and stretch or move every hour. We do it.
Exactly. And I mean, we could all be experts about what we need to do, but until you actually do it,
and I mean, I have no excuse. I'm in summertime here, so I can't even say, well, it's raining every day, so I can't get out.
Don't talk to me about rain. We've had storms for the past week.
We've had buckets of rain, exactly. So for me, I'm sitting here going, I am literally 2 or 3 kilometers away from the causeway.
Right.
It's summertime. Why am I not out there every day?
Yeah. Well, Mel Robbins talks about a 5 second rule, doesn't she?
Yes.
That overtakes our brain's desire to just keep us sitting down in the house, safe and well,
Yeah.
and
So
not
you get the idea and you've got 5 seconds to act on it,
do it.
or you're going to stay put.
Exactly. And do you know what? I actually practice that because I'm a bugger for housework. I sort of save it all up until one day a week. But then
Yeah.
And then in my habit stacking group, I thought, right, I'm going to do something every single day. And I use that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to get my ass off the couch and do,
One thing. Yeah.
one thing. And that's all you need to do. And it works really well, actually.
It does. I mean, like, this is a little extreme. I woke up at 1:30 this morning and I was like, no, I'm going back to sleep. I've been so tired yesterday. I think I went to sleep at about 8:15. So I knew I was going to wake up early, but I woke up at one something and I was like, no, that's a little bit too early, not quite what I had in mind. So I went back to sleep and I woke up at 3 something. And I was like, if you go back to sleep now, you're going to be awake at about 5 something. And that's too late for what you wanted. So
Yeah.
I got up at 3 something this morning and I was going to jump on the computer and I was like, no, you are not.
No.
No. And so I have music and affirmations, which is about an hour and 10 minutes long. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, put this on and you will clean the house until it's done.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be heavy cleaning. I'm just talking about just tidying up, just putting things away, just, cleaning, but just get stuff done.
Yeah.
And when the music finished, I was like, okay, now what would I like to do?
Yeah.
And I sat down and I read for 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But it was really intentional about, I am going to move. It doesn't have to be heavy movement, but, putting toys back in the right drawer, which, I'm a little OCD about that. I understand that the cars and the Barbies can all be mixed up, but then Isabella goes crazy because she can't find such and such a Barbie, or she can't find such and such a car. And so I literally do. I go through the toy boxes and I put everything back in its place again, even though they're put away. Just they're not put where I might find something when I'm looking for it.
Well, that's still good practice, isn't it?
So anyway, it was that kind of tidying up that, I don't usually have time to do. I was like, okay, so when we're done, we're done.
Yeah.
And just that thing of when I woke up, I had that moment of, you can roll over and go back to sleep, or you can get up right now.
Yeah. And spookily enough, I did exactly the same thing yesterday. I was in bed at like 7 p.m. and awake at 2. So I got up and made a fuss of the cats and made a drink, chamomile drink, and and then I went back to bed. But
yeah. But it is that moment, exactly. It's that moment where you realize.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, applying wisdom to something can apply everywhere. I mean, even in nutrition, for instance, the recipe videos I'm doing.
Right.
When I plan one, I read the recipe 3 times. I write it out. I lay all the ingredients out, and I think, right, there's my knowledge. Now I've just got to do it.
Do it, yes.
And the wisdom lies in me doing it again and again and again until I don't need the recipe in front of me, and it's
I don't have to think about it, and it just does it. Yeah,
that's unheard of for me. So, there's a big comfort zone aspect in there as well, because
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable in the kitchen, as you can tell from my videos. So, you know, it's practice.
But you know what I love about your videos, though, is that, yes, you're noticeably uncomfortable in the kitchen, but it is an invitation to anybody who feels like they have two left feet dancing in the kitchen.
That's exactly what I want.
Yes.
That's exactly what I want, because you know, a year ago I'd have said, "Oh, screw it," you know, and ordered takeout or something.
Absolutely. And I know that that was how I learned to cook, you know, at least past just survival cooking. I learned to cook with my brother when we lived together for 6 months. And it was just trial and error, you know. Here's a cookbook. And so now, especially now in the information age, where everything is available on YouTube as a video, as a tutorial, where recipes abound on the internet.
So, I mean, all the knowledge is available to us.
Choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so when we're choosing to say we don't know, we're basically saying that we're choosing not to know.
Yeah.
I'm choosing ignorance because the information is there. All I got to do is look it up and then do it.
Yeah.
And even with our health, you know, I was packing school lunches these last 2 days, which, you know, I haven't had to do for 3 months. And I was going to grab
about it at all.
No, I was going to grab some cookies, and I was like, why am I grabbing cookies? Well, because it's easier than peeling the orange and sticking the orange in the lunchbox. And I was like, seriously, that's the lesson I'm going to give my daughter, that I'm going to give you cookies.
It's convenient.
I cannot be bothered peeling an orange to stick it in your lunchbox. No. You know,
see, and that's where the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing would work really well. I mean, I just think 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it makes me do whatever it is I'm veering away from doing.
Yeah, because and I mean, realistically, how long does it take to peel the damn thing? Nothing. You know, and admittedly, half the orange came back uneaten, but
still,
half
yeah.
You know, and you know, when I looked at what she'd had in her, you know, what she brought back, she'd eaten the sandwich and the orange, and she'd left the cookies, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm doing well, you know. And she went through a stage where, you know, all she wanted was ice cream.
Right.
And so for 3 days or so, I just let her. Every time she wanted ice cream, I was like, yeah, let's get some ice cream. You know, and she basically had it instead of every single meal. Right. And then one day she looks at me and she goes, Mommy,
sick of ice cream.
I want some chicken and broccoli, please. And I was like, finally.
Awesome. Reverse psychology there.
I've done this with French toast. I've done this with a whole lot of different things. Literally, yeah, you can have it till you're sick of it. And you sit there and say, actually, I want something healthy, you know? And so, you know, like she opens the fridge and at eye level is the fruit.
Yeah.
Anything else, it's in the fridge, but it's not at eye level.
Yeah.
You know, so like if she opens the freezer, at her eye level is frozen blueberries.
Yeah.
No, there's ice cream in there, but you got to actually get for it. Exactly. Okay. But what's really cool about that is that generally she'll open the fridge or the freezer and she'll grab the fruit.
Yeah.
That's what's readily, you know, and it's not that she doesn't know the other stuff's there. She knows. But I make it easy. I make it really easy to choose that.
So, I mean, even at her age, she's making wise choices. I mean, all right, you're setting the stage for those.
But she's choosing. I'm not saying you have to, because one of the things that I think that we're losing with children is because we want them to eat healthy, we're making them eat healthy.
Yeah, and they should be enjoying it.
And they should be enjoying it. And they should also start to understand that, you know, there are some choices, you know, like you can choose, do you want an apple or an orange? You know?
Yeah.
And you know, like when she opens the fridge, she always has 3 to 5 different fruit choices. It's not that we only have the one, because I want her to feel like there's variety. There's always that constant choice.
Yeah.
But you know, like today, I made for lunch spaghetti, but with some sauteed onion, mushroom, and chicken. And she was like, I just want the spaghetti with butter. And I'm like,
wow.
just want the pasta
That's
with
random.
butter. And she's like, yes. And I was like, okay. So I give her pasta with butter, and then I put on a separate plate the chicken. And when I look over, she's eating the chicken and eating the pasta. And I was like, could have served it together. But at the same time, it's like, you know, just let her enjoy the food. If that's how she's going to enjoy it, choose it. But I love, I mean, like, I found her digging in the vegetable drawer. I'm like, what are you looking for? She's like, the tomatoes. And she literally will eat an entire tomato as if it were a fruit.
Yeah, me too. I mean, because when I was a kid, my grandparents used to grow vegetables. Mm-hmm. And I used to love going down to the greenhouse at the bottom of the garden and picking them.
Yeah.
And we'd eat them, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you know, so she'll eat a whole tomato. And you know, I've had a time that she's walked into the kitchen and I'm cooking and she's stolen the tomato I was going to use for salad or whatever. And when I've gone to serve dinner, she's like, I'm not hungry. And I'm like, why not? Well, I ate a tomato. And I'm like, okay. And what am I, you know, at 5 years old, the tomato is basically, she's full.
Yeah. And that's a really great place to be. She's recognizing when she's hungry and when she's not.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's got a choice.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's absolutely admirable.
And so what I try to make sure of is that throughout the day, there's that balance of you're getting the protein, you're getting the carbs, you're getting the fiber, you're getting the vitamins and minerals. But if you want to get all the protein at once, or you want to get all, you know,
knock yourself out. Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here. And, you know, it's that me relearning hunger and me relearning stopping, because when she's had enough, she stops.
Yeah.
And yet we have written in our brain, you've got to finish the plate.
Everything on your plate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then, you know, you have to consider that we came from a generation of parents and grandparents that went through wars.
Yes, and that is so true. Where, you know, they had eggs rationed, you know.
Yeah. And so finishing everything on your plate was because you don't know whether you're going to get another meal. So, you know, we kind of came from that generation. And that's sort of how we were conditioned when we were kids, finishing everything on your plate. So things change, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's all about kind of knowledge.
It is that learning. It is that learning, and for us, it's the unlearning and relearning. Yes. And like you say, it's the wisdom is the new knowledge, and then the doing it, and doing it enough so it becomes the habit.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, my group is kind of, you know, try this habit out for a week, but really what I want them to do is sort of play with new habits so that they can see how easy it is to make a tiny habit and just keep doing it. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
You know, have one less sugar in your coffee, or, you know, just keep doing that. I mean, tiny and achievable things. Yeah. And then you develop that kind of knowledge on what changes you can make.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I know for me, I literally, with giving up sugar in my tea, did it that way. I was at a teaspoon of sugar every time I had tea. I took it down to half a teaspoon and eventually just none at all. And that was easy. Now I have tea and somebody goes to put sugar and I'm like, no, no, oh no, that would taste terrible.
And your taste changes, because I don't have sugar in coffee anymore.
Yeah.
And I prefer it black instead of, the vanilla double latte, half calf with a twist.
No, no.
It's just plain black coffee with no sugar. It has to be good coffee, but still.
Yeah.
But with tea, I'm struggling to take the sugar out of my tea. So do you know what? This week, I've been sweetening it with a bit of maple syrup.
Lovely.
And, it's pretty nice, because I figure, it's not refined sugar, which
right.
I'm trying not to have in my house.
Yes. Yeah.
And
yeah, it's funny because in my house, I do have these sugar cakes that you can get here in Panama because we grow sugar cane.
Right.
When here in Panama, when they've ground the sugar cane and got all the syrup out, they then harden it, and it just makes these cakes. And so it's literally a dark brown.
Wow.
And I buy those, and everyone's like, "Where's your sugar?" And I'm like, "Well, the only sugar I've got."
It's still in the cane.
Is this sugar cakes, and you'll have to break a piece off. And it's like, and it doesn't taste like refined sugar. It still tastes like sugarcane juice.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's delicious, but the only thing you got to be careful of is there might be a dead bee in there. Because it is literally so organic. It's so organic. It's come straight from there,
Right. Yeah.
And so, every once in a while, it's like, oh, there's a bee in that. Oh man, I got the one. And it's like, okay.
Poor little thing.
Well, he's been dead for a few months. Yeah. But
so I mean, and it goes for I've been following your Moving Through March.
Yeah.
And I absolutely laughed. Actually, the first day was
the cat pose.
The cat pose, and then the second day was run a marathon.
No, the second day, well, almost. The second day was 10,000 steps. Yes.
Ramp it up, girl. Ramp it up.
And I did warn people. I was like, this is going to be all over the place, but it's intentional.
Yeah.
It's really intentional about why do we have to have this stuck idea of this is exercise?
Yeah. And I was very entertained by that, and that kind of got my attention.
And today's, for example, was Feed the Ducks. And I'm sitting here going, there's no ducks in Panama. I don't even know where to find ducks here.
Oh, well, I mean, you can improvise, I suppose, couldn't you?
Yeah. I'll go feed the pelicans. We just got to go fishing in order to do that.
Yeah. And then so maybe you could go out on a boat fishing and then get some water skiing in while you're on the boat.
Right.
Things could evolve that way.
Yeah. So, but it was that whole idea of if you just walk down to your local waterway and feed the ducks, that's still movement. It's not. It's not exercise.
Yeah.
But just get out that much, don't think you've got to go, I've got to go for a walk, or I've got to go for a run, or to the gym, or something strenuous. As little as just going down and feeding the ducks.
Yeah.
That's movement.
Yeah. And, I tried to make, apart from the storms and torrential rain that we've had, I've tried to.
But you didn't get a paddleboard for all these days.
Well,
so
I bought some
paddleboard down your street.
The waders that come up to here with the straps.
Yeah. There are boots at the bottom.
Yeah, so I bought some waders and one of those fisherman's hats. The big yellow things with the big flap. And I walked to my local store to get you know, coffee or whatever it was. But instead of thinking, ugh, I'll just drink something else, I don't want to go out, I thought, no, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get something on your feet and go out.
Yes. And just get out and do it. Yeah.
And I think particularly this time of year, we all get a bit stir crazy. We all get a bit pissed off that
we're stuck. I'm stuck inside. Exactly.
You know, and we had a couple of days of t-shirt weather a couple of weeks ago. So now we've got these storms and gales and torrential rain. You know, it really, if you're not very careful, sort of gets you down. You think, oh God, again. Yeah. So yeah, it's really nice to go out and take a big deep breath and think, oh, I'm outside.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know when I go to England, everyone's like, you know, well, it's going to rain every day. And I was like, I love walking in English rain. And they're like, why? I was like, well, because in Panama, it's raining outside. And I can either get wet from the rain or I can get wet from the sweat inside my raincoat. Those are my two choices. Yeah.
Nice.
Because it's, exactly. I prefer the rain, you know, but it's one of those things that here you wouldn't put on a raincoat to go for a walk in the rain. You know, like literally for me, if it's raining, my choice is, well, I guess I'll go outside and get wet. If if I'm going to take the dogs for a walk or a run, it's knowing full well that do I have enough time for us to go out and for me to come back and rinse the dogs off and dry them off.
Oh yeah, you know? Nice.
You know, whereas in England, I wouldn't even think about that. You know, it's drizzling out.
Do it. Yeah. I mean, I always think, you know, well, so what if you get drenched too? You know,
you come home, you get dry, you get warm again, and you're fine.
And I go back to the example of when I was like 14 working for a local beach restaurant. I used to go swimming in the sea every lunchtime.
Yeah.
Rain or shine. I did it in a thunderstorm once. It was hammering with rain and I still, you know, jumped in. And I don't ever remember the mindset of, oh, I don't want to get out there now, it's raining.
No, it was, I can go out there because I'm going to get wet anyway. Yeah. You know, I mean, and with Isabella, who's, you know, 5, you know, if it's raining, I was like, as long as there's no thunder and lightning, you may go play in the rain.
Yeah.
Just, you know, as soon as you're done, you know, when you get cold, you come back in, we towel you off, we get you nice and we get you dry again and you're done, you know?
Yeah.
And go play in the rain. It's the funnest thing there is.
And so, you know, I mean, if you can't, with the moving through March thing, if you can't find your kettlebells or something, just do something that you want to do.
Put some music on at home and boogie to be funny.
Well, I did. I shook all my wobbly bits the other day. You know, there was no going out. There was no doing anything. And so I just put some music on and
I know the other day Isabella put some music on and she was like, let's dance to this. And I'm like, okay. And we start and she's starting to giggle. And I was like, I can't do this, man. I cannot do this, because she was just giggling so hard as we were doing it. I was like, oh man, you know, I cannot take myself seriously.
Well, why should you? You know,
exactly.
I mean, there's really nothing wrong with getting some joy out of moving. And
absolutely.
You know,
and having fun. I mean, if you saw, I was trying to do the squats with her on my back, and I ended up with 2 very excited dogs that were, you know, one of them was biting my butt.
Oh, I can imagine.
Jumping up. They thought that this was all about fun. And I managed to get to the end of the 20 squats, but it was chaos. It was barking. It was loud. It was like,
and just think back to that. When you finish doing that, the aura and the atmosphere in your house.
Oh, absolutely hilarious and light. Yes.
You know, so I
The
mean,
energy was just, it was, yeah,
it's
absolutely.
what I kind of say with clients, if you're dreading work and you walk to your door and you open the door and there's a mirror near your door, pull yourself a stupid face before you go to work, and I guarantee
Lighten
you'll
that
leave the
mood.
house
Yes.
smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it sounds silly and a little bit, hippie, but it works.
And wisdom is knowledge and action.
Yeah.
We know it works,
Yeah.
but then we don't do it because, oh, this is silly, but we know it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. And why shouldn't we as grown-ups be able to be silly and
Yeah.
light? And, at what point were we told not to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want that atmosphere in my house more than anything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
And I want to know that I am doing all of that for myself, and also for what am I teaching my 5-year-old?
yeah,
What is she learning?
exactly.
I mean, she's learning that exercise is funny and fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Which
and
is,
that's, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
I remember physical exercise in schools. Oh God.
Oh, yeah. And you dreaded it.
I absolutely dreaded it. I mean, they used to send us on cross-country runs in the middle of
Oh,
winter.
I loved that. Sorry.
And they weren't even countryside, we run out
okay,
the school gates and run down some roads and run back into the other school gates, on a miserable, dreary, freezing cold October day. And I don't remember any words of encouragement, so we ended up dreading that entirely. Yeah. And I'm still 5 foot tall. I was 5 foot tall when I was 11. I'm 5 foot tall when I'm nearly half a century.
So you've got really long legs for doing cross country.
So my little stumpies on a cross country run, and it was just hellish for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So giving someone a really good start to enjoy moving around and exercising and stuff is.
Yeah. And I have to say,
ultimate wisdom.
With Isabella, we were at the park on Sunday, and there was this big hill, and she's like, can I run down it? And I'm sitting there going, gosh, if she falls halfway down. And I was like, yes, run down it. It's like, yes, go.
I mean, they're impossible at that age anyway. I mean,
and I was sitting there going, yeah, I'm not going to run down it.
I would have.
But no.
I'd have had some black eyes at the bottom, but I'd have run down it.
But it was that waking up to, yes, there's part of me that's going, I could see all the accidents that could potentially happen. Of course, none of it happened. No, run down the hill, have the fun.
Yeah.
And
you could have got her to lie down and roll down the hill. If it was steep enough.
No, it's not quite steep enough. It's steep enough that I worried about her falling as she ran, but not steep enough to do that. Not steep enough to get a cardboard box and slide down it. No.
Or a tea tray.
Yeah. Anyway, Sammy, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, me too. And for those of you that are hesitant of, can't do the exercise, don't do the exercise. Just move. It doesn't have to, you don't have to do 20 repetitions. Start where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to what your body's asking you for, and just start where you are. Start doing what you can do. Let it be a celebration of what your body is capable of.
And Nourish to Flourish can really, they're with you all the way in terms of doing that challenge. And, if you want to make it a habit, then I'm your gal.
Yes, absolutely. And, just, come into the group Nourish and, just participate on the days. I mean, every day we're posting. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are totally normal.
They're great.
Some of them are almost boring. But every day we've got something different, you know, and just to do the adventure of finding what you enjoy, because the whole idea of this is finding enjoyment in the movement. Where you're not feeling like, oh my goodness, this is dreary, but rather, no, this is a celebration of life. So come and join us. Thank you so much, Tammy, for being on with me today.
Thank you.
This has been such a pleasure, so much fun. Have a great afternoon and evening.